What up gamers, Fancier here, and in this video I want to share my thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episodes 14 to 26, which covers the second arc for this anime, and because I'll be discussing these episodes, there will be spoilers up ahead for episodes 1 to 26 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's, as well as just lightly touching upon the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale Nintendo Switch game, as I do want to mention some stuff over there. So yeah, spoilers up ahead, you've been warned. So starting with episode 14, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was a filler episode. Yeah, because by the end of the episode, like after I watched it, I felt like nothing really happened or progressed. I mean, yeah, of course, there's the restoration of the friendship of Roman and Luke, as well as Kaizo apparently dueling for the first time, which I thought maybe we would at least see a formal rush duel, but instead they did a very rushed version of a rush duel, if you can say that. But yeah, I did not hate or dislike this episode. I actually really liked this episode. I thought it was really fun and funny to watch, and I thought it was also a way to catch our breaths after watching the previous episode, where it was the finale of the first arc for this anime, and because of that, it was just really heavy in the story and plot between Yuga and Roa and Otes. Yeah, it was just a lot of heavy story stuff going on in the previous episode that I felt like this was a very nice episode to just, like I said, catch our breaths and just to calm down after watching all of that stuff. And yeah, as I mentioned, at first I thought this episode was a filler because I didn't think the events of this episode would be brought up again. But boy, was I wrong, and very much surprised because by the end of the next episode, episode 15, where they had to duel this freaky fish guy named Skipjack. Now I'm just like thinking he's a descendant of Meiko Tsunami. But after dueling Skipjack, it was revealed that the Kaizo that they were with was a fake Kaizo, and that one half of the real Kaizo was taken by Goha during his rush duel against the three robots in the previous episode, and the other half was actually in a body that went to go warn Yuga about the fake Kaizo. And so after Yuga and his friends learned about this, they went on a quest to try to rescue Kaizo, but in the meantime, they put Kaizo, like the other half that was in the body, yeah, they put that into a bicycle seat, which I thought was pretty funny. And so the first part of the quest was to track down where the fake Kaizo went because he fled after Yuga and his friends found out that he was a fake, and his location was in the Gastrobite, in which they were banned in the they were banned from that place in the first arc of this anime. But they were able to spot Mimi, who was about to go and eat over there, I guess. And so yeah, they joined her and they were able to go inside. And so after getting into some trouble there, Roman ended up dueling Buff Grimes, who was like the leader of the cleaning club, I think. In one part of Goha Elementary. And yeah, going back to Skipjack, he was also a student of Goha, but I guess in the fishing club side of things, I guess. But yeah, I do like the roles that they were given, and I do like Buff Grimes because I thought he was an interesting duelist because he just cheats in his duels. Because he would do a thing where he would try to clean off a stain from his duel disc, where in reality he's just cheating to do stuff. And after Luke notices this, he does this poly effect power thing that he has, and he disables his duel disc from doing any cheating there. But yeah, that ended up with Roman winning the duel, and that led them into a deeper part into Gastrobite, where they were formally introduced to Nail, which I do like a lot, this character. By the end of the whole arc over here, I thought he was pretty cool, but yeah, here we are meeting him for the first time. And I gotta say, I do like Nail's introduction because he began like as, I guess, a younger version of himself, just hacking into Goha's network, and then somehow just having all the satellites crash down onto the planet. Like you see him like smiling in joy as he looks out the window, and then you see his parents just be in like fear and worried about him. Yeah, I don't know why that scene is just like it's just fun to watch. And so at some point, he was hired by Goha to do work for them. I'm not sure what kind of work he's doing for them, but yeah, he's working for them, I guess, after crashing those satellites of theirs. But yeah, pretty much he's been set up to be the main antagonist or villain for this arc to go up against Yuga and his friends. And the goal here, pretty much for this entire arc, is to go up against Nail's minions to get closer into just saving Kaizo and stopping Nail. But yeah, I'll be going through his minions like really fast because I don't think they add too much to the progression of the story here. And so the first minion is Kit, who Luke has to duel against. And dude, Kit was a very interesting duelist in general because he has cards that are cat versions of Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eyes Black Dragon. Also, Odd Eyes Dragon. That's really cool to see. I like seeing those callbacks to the older monsters. I think he's very unique in that aspect. But yeah, Luke wins against him. And then Roa, as part of Yuga's team, has to duel Tyler, their drummer in their band of Roa and Roman. But yeah, that's really cool that they brought back Tyler because he was kind of just there in the background, and you know they couldn't really include him in the duels because you know they can only allow just 3 duelists to duel, which they chose Bones instead of Tyler. But yeah, that's cool how they brought him back because yeah, like I said, they made his role back in the duel with Roa, like at the end of the first arc, like very small and stuff. And they made it pretty big in this episode here. And I thought that was a cool way of like just making minor characters just feel more important to the story. And then we get to see Bastion, who is who is Nail's massage chair. But yeah, at first, dude, I remember him. I remember him back in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel down at the Battle Royale video game. I remember dueling him, and at first I thought he was just a throne, I think, but apparently he's a massage chair. I did not know that. I thought that's even more funnier than what I thought before. But yeah, Yuga had to duel him, and he won. Which man, I remember dueling him back in the video game, and he was pretty tough. Like he made me lose. Like one of the only duelists that made me lose. And then we get to Yash versus Mimi, which I feel like was the most wholesome duel so far into this anime. And I would say out of Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, like, yeah, this is one of my favorites because of the whole mother and son bonding and relationship, as well as just Yash in the end, viewing his mother as his superhero, as you see like Mimi just balancing her work life and just taking care of Yash. Yeah, I just felt like him saying that she's his superhero, like it felt very touching, and it was such a heartfelt moment. And yeah, I really like that scene a lot and the duel overall. But then there's a plot twist where because Nail views Mimi as one of Yuga's allies and because Mimi lost, pretty much Yuga and all of his friends got a penalty, which means Mimi also got one too. But not only her, not only are the people that, you know, witnessing that duel between Yash and Mimi got a penalty, but also pretty much everyone outside, like the Dinosaur Club, the Newspaper Club, Sabu Ramen and his friends, like, yeah, they all got penalties, which, ooh, man, that was a scary thing to see. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind this too much if it was just, you know, Yuga, Roman, Gavin, and Luke. Like, I wouldn't mind if it was just them, but seeing like even all these side characters getting them, like, wow, that's a really scary and really interesting thing to see. And so because these stakes have been raised, Yuga and all of his friends gather into his workshop, his lab area. I forgot which one was it. And by the way, I do like just seeing these characters again, just like before when they all gathered around at the end of the first arc. They gathered here again, and yeah, it was just really nice to see them together, these side characters, for the most part, because you know, they're not just one-off characters. Even though they haven't really done much, I would say, in this arc compared to before, it's still nice to see them just be around, and they're not like just, you know, like I said, just some one-off characters just being brushed off to the side. Like we see them again, you know, they still have some kind of purpose, even though it is a very, very small purpose. But yeah, they all gather into there to talk about it, and then suddenly there is a pit which led Yuga, Roman, Gavin, Luke, and Sabu Ramen to fall into it. And then we see Mimi with a different identity, like not the Goha version of Mimi. But yeah, apparently there's like a new version of Mimi now. And she led them into a Goha like underground ramen restaurant, which yeah, that was pretty fun to see. But yeah, they were there. Sabu Ramen was really excited. They met Celestia, and they ended up with Celestia and Sabu Ramen dueling, in which yeah, Sabu Ramen won there. And then by the end of that duel, it ends up that she's an actual alien, I guess. Like she's not just some person or robot, just made by Goha, but apparently, yeah, she's a real alien, and she just left. And so, yeah, without spoiling too much of the next anime, which I believe is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, but yeah, without spoiling that too much, like from my knowledge, there are some aliens there, and I do wonder if maybe Celestia is related to that. And then we're back with Buff Grimes again, who is still cleaning and still cheating, but this time he's going up against Luke, who this time can't even use his poly effect because Yuga took his watch away from him, in which Yuga predicts that it was the watch that gives people the poly powers, like with Luke here, and not Luke himself. But nope, instead it was a combination of Luke and the watch that gives off the poly effect. And so yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting because it does feel very specific with that. Like I thought the power was kind of random in a way at first, in the first arc, but no, apparently there's something really special with this watch and with Luke, and so I wonder if there's more to that we might see in the future. I really do want to see that. But yeah, Luke was able to defeat Buff Grimes, and then Yuga and his friends were able to find another secret area of the Gastrobites. And so then they stumble upon a marketplace made by Nail, and it's being run by robots. And these robots are programmed in a way where they would sell products that are made in a not normal way. Like, if you have an orange and you bite it and it tastes like corn dog, I know, a random example, but yeah, if that happens and then you question like the robots and why this orange tastes like a corn dog, the robots would then say, "Who says oranges have to taste like oranges?" They would say something like that, and yeah, it was really confusing, man. At first, it was kind of confusing, but then Yuga was able to figure it out on why it was made this way, and it's because Nail and Yuga, I guess, yeah, Nail and Yuga just pretty much think alike. They're similar in a sense where, with Nail making these robots do not normal things, well, Yuga is pretty much the same with Rush Duels here because he pretty much changed the format of the normal dual monster rules, going from like 5 monster card zones to 3, the same thing with the spell and trap card zones, and then if you have like less than 5 cards, instead of drawing 1 card per turn, you draw up to 5. Stuff like that. They're very similar in the sense that they want to break the rules on like what's normal and not, to make things feel interesting, I guess. And I gotta say, I do like this idea in a way where they're just enforcing this whole rule breaking thing because, yeah, I think it's something that hasn't been done before, I guess. I think it's a really cool way to, enforce the idea of like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In a different way. And yeah, I think that's really cool. And so after Yuga realizes this, he then goes and proceeds to duel Nail himself. Yep, the main antagonist for this arc. And during the duel, Nail was able to pull off a maximum summon, which is a new mechanic that I really love when I first witnessed it back in the Dawn of the Battle Royale Switch game. I thought it's really cool to like morph these 3 cards into one boss monster, and yeah, I thought the mechanic is really cool. I do hope that maximum summon cards have more of a role in the future because I think, like I said, they're just really cool. And so because Nail was able to maximum summon, I believe his name was Yggdrago, that was his maximum monster card. Yeah, because he was able to bring him out, he was able to defeat Yuga. Yeah, I believe this is the first time that Yuga has lost a match. And dude, you can really see it in his face, like the way they drew and animate Yuga here after he lost to Nail. Like the dude is so like destroyed and terrified, man. Like, dude, it was really interesting to see him just, I guess, see him in this way because you always see him very happy, but now he's just terrified, dude. Like Yuga is just a terrified man to the point where after the duel, he goes into hiding from his friends because he just feels ashamed of it. So then, to help out Yuga here, Luke, Roman, and Gavin went out to search for Otes because he might have some answers to combat against maximum summons. And he does, but it requires them to duel him, like three different versions of him, one for each of his friends there for Luke, Gavin, and Roman. And the thing is that Otes is considered an ally of Yuga, which means that whether they win or lose, they all get penalties. But they did so anyway, and Yuga and all of his friends now have a total of 5 penalties because of that duel. But they were able to get an answer to combat against maximum summons, which is to have Yuga maximum summon using their ID cards and their dual discs to make them into maximum monster cards. That is how Yuga is able to maximum summon. So now that Yuga has the maximum cards in his possession, he goes out to a duel museum to learn more about duel monsters and how they were made, like their origins and all that stuff. And it was really cool to see all the older cards, like with Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon, even like some of the other cards like Axe Raider and all that stuff. Yeah, it was really cool to see those cards there too. And they ended up meeting Nail there, and Yuga then ended up just dueling him there in that museum. And dude, one of my favorite lines in that museum area was with Nail there. He thought that was a perfect place to duel him there because Yuga's about to be history. Yeah, I don't know why. That line kind of stuck to me. I do like the Yu-Gi-Oh lines like that. Like there was a lot of them back in GX and I love that. And so the final battle of this arc commences between Yuga and Nail, and it got pretty intense to the point where when Nail maximum summoned Yggdrago, it destroyed the top part, like the top half of the building of the museum, and everyone can see them just duel, which I thought was pretty epic. But not only was he able to maximum summon, but Yuga as well. He was able to maximum summon, I believe his name was Supreme Machine Magnum Overlord, and yeah, it was like a very, I guess, Power Ranger feeling card when they assemble like that. But yeah, dude, I don't really comment too much about the duels themselves, but this one was really cool to see. To see like these two giant monsters, they're the maximum monster cards, just battle it out, going back and forth. Yeah, it was really cool to see that. And yeah, I do hope that we see more maximum summons in the future because of stuff like this, just seeing these two maximum monsters fight it out. I think it's really cool to see. And so I do hope they do more of that in the future. Like, I would like to see them give, all of his other friends maximum monsters with Luke, Roman, and Gavin. That'll be really cool to see. But yeah, just seeing these maximum monsters just fight it out was really cool. But of course, in the end, Yuga won the battle. I feel like that was very much expected to progress the plot, I guess. But yeah, because of that, Kaizo was returned to Yuga, and everything was, I guess, back to normal. I think with what's his name, Nail, I don't think he's able to duel again because he gave himself 5 penalties before starting the match, which I thought was pretty cool to see, man. Like, he's a fair guy. If Yuga and his friends get penalties, he also gets some too to make it fair. But yeah, dude, it makes me wonder, like, I don't remember this, like if they maybe somehow make it able to for him to duel again, but I would love to see him just be back again and duel because I think he's a very interesting villain, and I hope that they make him into a friendly duelist this time in the future arcs. And then we get a tease for the potential main antagonist for the next arc for this anime, and I feel like I recognize these silhouettes if they're the same characters from the endgame content from the Dawn of the Battle Royale video game, then I guess I'll be expecting them next time. And so that is all the story of this arc over here for Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episodes 14 to 26. And I guess one more thing I'll talk about is just this one scene I want to highlight because it reminded me of the lessons I learned from back in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I've already said it a couple of times now, but it's about like me learning about accepting losses, and there's a scene like that here in this arc where when Yuga was in hiding from his friends after losing to Nail. He feels very ashamed of it. And then he got a pep talk from Roa. And after Yuga expressed his, I guess, his shamefulness of like losing to Nail after experiencing loss for himself, Roa then replies with, dude, it's pretty much normal. Like, you're human. You should be sad when you lose. It's how you respond to that loss, is how things go, good and bad. And so, yeah, that just reminded me of back when I learned from accepting losses back in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, when a character, like a very important character, lost, but they replied back with just with happiness and stuff and being impressed by their opponent. Like, it's something that I guess for me, that I guess resonated with me because it really helped me out, being a better gamer, I guess. So yeah, that is all I want to say for the story here, and my thoughts on it overall is I liked it. I really liked this arc a lot. I thought it was a lot better in terms of like the risk taken. The stakes are higher, the threats are even bigger to the point where they're on a skyscraper just breaking down the ceiling of the buildings with that last battle and just maximum summoning. Like I said, I do hope that that is more of a norm now that that mechanic has been introduced. But yeah, can't wait to see just how this anime evolves over time because I still like Rush Duels. I think it's really cool as a new rule set to play with. And yeah, can't wait to see what the new threats are like next time. In the sense of me like recommending this anime to other people, I would say definitely at this point I do recommend it to other people to watch it. Like compared to before though, like when I first watched the first 13 episodes, I can definitely see other people not being into this anime because it does have a very different feeling and style and target audience compared to the previous Yu-Gi-Oh animes. But I feel like because of this arc here, it is definitely getting up there to match up with the tone and feelings of the previous Yu-Gi-Oh animes. So yeah, I do recommend this anime way more than before because of like how the story is going so far. And so yeah, overall, I really do like this anime so far. And I'm also pretty curious about you guys as well. What do you guys think about Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episodes 14 to 26? Or maybe you've already watched all of it. Maybe you can let me know how you guys feel, pretty much in general, down in the comments below. Do you guys like it or hate it, or maybe in the middle and don't care? Yeah, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, I'll definitely be making more of these videos, these review videos of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s for when they do release their like all the episodes of the next arc here. So yeah, guys, that'll be it for now. That's game.